Kristina. How are you, my dear?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having
I
me.
am so lovely. It is a beautiful fall day, and I'm so happy to have this time with you.
Thank you.
So please introduce yourself to listeners. Tell us who you are, where you live, what you do, and why you said yes to the body story.
Sure. My name is Kristina Morzan. I live in Washington, D.C., but I'm from New York. I am a technical officer for an international development organization focusing on youth and workforce development. So specifically working with young people, trying to make agriculture sexy, help them
Okay.
kind of get into the workforce. So those are some of the things that I do. In terms of why I said yes, I mean, first of all, it was a no-brainer. I think because of my personal relationship with you,
Mm.
to me, it was an automatic yes. Because
Oh.
I think that your aura and the way that you talk, you bring comfort and also
Mm.
reflection. So I knew that this would be important for my own personal development to do this with
Mm.
you. So
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Mama. Thank you for saying that. Where do you want to start, hun? I just, this body story can go anywhere you'd like to start. What is coming up for you right now? How would you like to start your story?
Sure. I mean, one of the things that I've, I was like kind of prepping, not prepping for this, but I sat down and I was like, let me think about this body journey. I think a
Yes.
lot of us don't sit down and be like, how did I get here? So I think maybe starting with unlearning and relearning. I think
Mm.
when it comes to our bodies, and so many elements to it, whether it's the physical, the sexual, so many. It's kind
Yes.
of unlearning a lot of the societal things and
Mm.
family things and
Mm.
family pressures, and
Yes.
relearning them. Um, so maybe
Can
we
we
can
just
start
dive
there.
into specifics, Christina? Is there one thing specifically just for you when you're thinking of your body that you're unlearning?
I think harshness and judgment. Growing up, growing up with foreign parents, I'm sure everyone knows we love them. They're special, but they can be intense.
Mm.
And it's not their fault. That's how they grew up.
Yes.
My mom is Ukrainian, my father is Peruvian, so they grew up in places that place a lot of heavy emphasis on physicality as your
Mm.
worth in a way. Kind of like the way you navigate the world and your worth in the world is how good you look.
Mm.
Um, and that was kind of how I grew up. My mom was I love her so much, but she was extremely harsh in my appearance since I was a very little girl.
Mm.
She was always putting me in dance classes and workout classes because she was afraid I was going to get fat.
Oh.
She would like psychoanalyze all my outfits, and when I would do the makeup, she would like analyze everything to make sure that it's like tippy top.
Mm.
Um, if I gained a little weight, she would point it out. Like the first
Oh.
thing, like as soon as I see her, hey honey, by the way, you gained 2 pounds.
How does
Or
this
if I,
make you feel, Christina? How do you like, is this something still even now?
So now I think part of this relearning is setting boundaries. So
Ooh,
I
okay.
spoke, only recently, actually this year, I told my mom and my brother, I'm like, hey, I love you guys, but every time I see you, you guys make a comment on my appearance. Every time for like 28 years,
Yeah.
I don't like that. And they stopped. Um, so yeah, that was kind of crazy. I was like, oh wow, so that's what setting boundaries is
Ah, that's look at you setting a boundary. And
like.
I love the courage of it, Christina, because to do something like that with a family member, with a mother who brought you into this world and created you. I think sometimes as daughters, we almost feel like they're allowed to kind of say these things because they created us. But when it sounds like with you and you're pausing and kind of thinking, what do I want to unlearn? Setting a respectful boundary that has shifted a part of this body story. Where in putting that boundary down and unlearning, Christina, how is this transforming you right now in your body story and how you feel in your body?
Well, I think that I'm more accepting. I'm less judgmental, I think, of myself. Well, I'm trying to be. I'm a little more
Okay.
conscious about it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how judgmental I was of myself and sometimes others, because
Mm.
that's the environment I grew up in. That was kind of an emotional response of my mom and my brother was judgment. So
Mm.
by nature, you absorb
Yeah.
that. So I think it's, not judging myself so much. Like, okay, I ate a little too much this day. Like, it's totally fine. The
Okay.
world isn't going to
Yeah.
collapse.
Yes. Yes.
And just looking at myself in my raw form and being okay with it. Like I
Mm.
finally feel like this is me. It's not totally perfect at all, but this is it. This is me.
I saw a beautiful photo of you on Instagram recently. You were in Portugal and you were on a beach, and there was just, you were in your swimsuit. You just looked powerful. You looked divine. There was this lovely glow. Talk to me about your evolution in that type of being able to sit on the beach in your swimsuit, owning your body. What is that evolution for you to get there now as a woman in your late 20s? What's that been like for you?
Um, again, it goes back to missing, kind of that lack of judgment, not judging myself or comparing to other people on the beach. But also, I think a lot of it, at least recently, has been just kind of coming into my sexuality. Um,
Okay.
that
Let's
is
talk about that.
something, yeah, hot topic.
Mhm.
But again, it
Yes.
goes back to unlearning and relearning. I think our concepts of what sexuality are transcend with time. And
Mm.
for a while, I think my sexuality was blocked. And sexuality is not just about sex.
Yeah,
It's about so many
absolutely.
things.
Totally.
Uh, I think people like misconstrue that sometimes.
What is it
Uh,
for you, Christine? I'm curious because somebody listening might be like, well, it is just sex to me. For you, when you say it's
mhm.
more than sex, when you think sexuality in your body story, what is it for you?
I think sexuality in my body story means owning my body the way that it is. And okay, if I want to be sexy or be sensual, that is okay. And that does not necessarily equate to, being hypersexualized. Like, I don't
Mm.
know. And also think creativity too. I
Oh,
think there's,
yes.
thinking about the concept of the chakras and things like that, like this the sexual chakra, the sacral chakra, in essence, is creativity too. So there's an element of creativity, I think, but with sexuality that people maybe don't
Oh.
see.
Can we talk a little bit about that like that frequency?
Mhm.
When you are in an element, that vibration in your own body, what does that feel like for you, Christina?
It just kind of feels like every part of you is connected and you see the connections with all of it. And also, you pay more attention to physical pain points, I think. Like, let's say if I have, a headache or,
Okay.
a stomach ache, I'm kind of more like, okay, something is deeper than just the headache or the stomach ache. Maybe
Ooh.
I'm not meditating enough. Maybe I'm not eating well and taking care of myself, and it's reflecting itself
Mm.
physically.
Mm.
So it's more of like, to me, a reminder, like, hey, take care of yourself. So that self-love is like also taking.
Can I take it back? You said you're learning to speak more, less harsh to yourself. This is a bit personal, but do you mind sharing what was something you were speaking harsh of when you're unlearning it, but when you were in that, what did you what did you speak harshly of when it came to your body?
Yeah, I mean, of course, thoughts everyone has. Oh, I'm overweight.
Mm.
This is not skinny enough. This is
Mm.
too fat, or you have a pimple, or there's so many
Mm.
things.
I
I'm sure
know.
all like literally we've all had these thoughts.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and again, because my mom would kind of every time I would see her, the first like interaction is physical comment. That was the first thing I would see when I would look at myself too. Is like
Mm.
automatically my physical body, not just who am I, and beyond
Yes.
just my body. So yeah, it was always like a point of conversation with my family, just kind of like a recurring theme over and over.
How did that translate? You used the word comparing earlier, and even how that judgment can go on to other people. How did you find that judgment and comparison you would pass along to other women? Like when you would look at their bodies, what was that like? Talk about that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much we internalize these things. But if I would look at another woman, like let's say the Rihanna Fenty fashion show, I think this is
Okay.
very like opportune.
Okay.
She's super inclusive, includes women of all bodies and everything. I feel
Yes.
like maybe years ago, I would have been
Mm.
like, oh my God, like why would you have all these bodies? We obviously look at
Mm.
fashion to see these beautiful supermodels, just things like that. But now it's completely different. It's like, why can't you look how you are, be who you are, and be sexy and up there and show it? What's the problem?
Isn't that empowering as hell?
Yeah.
It's almost to watch, using that fashion show as an example, to even
Mhm.
watch that. to watch any fashion show now, if I don't see a diverse size, like
Yeah.
bodies representing all different sizes, I'm not into it. It's
Yep.
just, it's not, it's too cookie cutter. It doesn't
Yeah.
even feel real,
Yeah.
actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know
but
what
think
I'm
about that. A
saying?
year or two ago, this was not even a thing, you know?
What do you think made the evolution? Like you know, and that's a big part of my fascination with this body story project, Christina, is because I've noticed the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Why do you think the society is transitioning? If you had to like make a guess, like why you think this is happening now?
Question. Well, I actually think a lot of it is probably social media. I think has a role in it.
Totally.
Because like before, what the media that we were fed, was by corporations and their standards of beauty. But now people can self-create whatever they want. So I think that has helped. Um, and yeah, I think also just people are more open-minded in a way. Of course, not everywhere, but
Yeah.
people are more open-minded and people want to be included. They don't want to, sit in the outskirts of society in a way and be kind of castrated. People
Yes.
want to join, and I think people are also more open-minded to letting people in.
Yeah.
So,
How do you talk about this? Does bodies and how you feel about your body come up in conversations with your close friends? Do you all ever talk about this?
yeah, we talk about this a lot actually, because we were actually talking about this earlier, is judgment and how harsh we are on ourselves. Not only, and that goes beyond physicality. Sometimes like, oh, I didn't do that, like, oh, I'm the worst. And these
Mm-hmm.
words, everything we say to ourselves, it's a vibration that you send out into the world. So if you
Mm,
look at yourself and you're like, oh, I'm fat, this sucks. That's what you're going to feel. That's the energy that you're putting out there.
yes.
So yeah, I think this kind of more compassion for yourself. It's hard.
Oh, daily process. Before we started our interview, I was sharing with you that I remember when you would come to my spin class, what you would wear. And I noticed all the time because my regulars, I pay attention to y'all where you sit, when you groove, all of that. And you had your same area and your same attire. Christina would walk in in her all black, ready to slay. Talk to
Yep.
me about this evolution where I would see you mostly wearing black clothes to where now I just don't, Christina. Talk to me about how that's played out in your body story.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I didn't even notice until you brought it up, which I thought was super interesting. But yeah, couple for the past couple of years, my staple was all black outfit. That was
Mm.
it. Like that's all I wore, whether it was at the gym or outside the gym. All
Oh,
black, all day.
wow.
And I didn't really realize until now how much that was a subconscious reflection of maybe what I was
Mm.
feeling inside.
Mm.
Um, I
Wow.
was in a really toxic relationship. I was with a very difficult partner, and I internalized a lot of this negative energy, and it literally showed in what I was wearing. And now I realize I don't wear that much black. I wear a lot brighter colors. Yeah, and maybe that is kind of like a subconscious reflection of you know,
And
things
so that
changing.
wasn't even planned. You just were like, the black just faded in the back.
Literally, it's like just went
Wow.
away. Yeah, just black pants now, but color
Okay.
tops.
Christina, what was your body story like when you were younger? Your teen years? Maybe even like a little bit, after high school. What was it like?
Hmm. So after high school, it was interesting. I was thinking about this, and again, going back to unlearning and relearning. I think I developed pretty early on. So I think that you know, like going back to what my family would be like, your physicality is your worth, right? Like if you look good, you're worthy in society. Like doesn't
Mm,
matter your accomplishments, it's all about looking good. And I think that I saw that coming out in how I was behaving in high
mm.
school and in college, where I felt I hypersexualized myself. Do you
Really?
know what
What
I
is
mean?
what is tell me more, because hypersexualized can be different to different people.
Yeah. So hypersexualized myself. I felt like, oh, okay, my worth is my body. My worth is how I look, and that's all that matters. And I put so much value on my sexuality on others.
Mm,
So if others thought I was good looking, then I'm good looking. But if others didn't
mm,
think that, then I'm not. You know what I mean? So I put a lot of my worth in always getting compliments, and if other people didn't find me attractive, I was not attractive, in my opinion.
yeah,
you
right.
know So I realized that, during high school and during college, I was doing that a lot. Like my sexuality was connected to what others felt, not what I was feeling, you know? And that was also my body worth, is how others saw it. And if they saw
Yes.
it was good, then I was good. Um, you know, so, and I
Oh,
think, yeah, now it's more like it's coming from me, you
mm.
know? So, anyways.
What feels right about that? What feels different about that? That it's coming from you?
I think that it feels different because I'm finally at the stage where I don't need external sources all the time for me to feel good within myself, and I think this is totally human nature. Like, we fall into this trap of needing validation sometimes, or people telling us, you're good, making us feel good. And this comes from childhood, right? Where I was judged so harshly that I constantly needed this validation to
Mm,
feel good within myself. But at the end of the day, you cannot rely on external anything to heal yourself and be happy with yourself. You're
that
always
is
going to be
so
in this rat
true.
race.
Yeah. You're speaking very vulnerably about your experience with your family and kind of how looks was very important. And I know this is the story of many other people. I interviewed another woman and she was saying how, she would be in fitness classes very at a young age with her mom. And I just, for somebody that is dealing with this exact same thing right now, a teenager in college, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, what have you, and they're still the look, how their physical looks is still deeply important and almost critiqued and judged by their family. What would you say to them if this is something that they're aware of, and maybe they're stuck in it? Maybe they're not to that place where they can just
Right.
have the boundary. What would you say?
I would say, that's a really, really good question. Actually, the other day, it's funny that you bring this up. Like, the other day, I saw a photo of myself when I was like 4 or 5, and I
Okay.
literally had a conversation with her. I was like telling her things that I wish I heard at that time.
Oh my
So this all
gosh.
feels very like, whoa,
Oh,
meta.
wow.
um,
So you were just holding the photo of yourself, Christina, and just like,
Talking
what were
to
some of
it,
the things you said? Because a lot of psychologists, there's a lot of information about tapping into that inner
inner
child.
child, yeah.
What did you say to little Christina?
I looked at her in the eyes and I was just like, you're beautiful, you're
Mm,
incredibly smart, you're empathetic, you're charismatic, like, you have all these amazing things. Don't let other people filter this perception of yourself. So it's like talking to her, just saying the things I wish my parents had told me. You're good as you are, you're beautiful how you are, this is how you're
yes.
supposed to be. Um, so,
Mm,
and maybe that's what I would tell teenager, or, young woman, young man going through this constant physical judgment, is that
yes.
you will eventually learn to love yourself as you are. It may seem crazy right now. It may seem like it's never going to happen, but you are who you are for a reason.
Mm. Where do you go when you want to tap into that, like that divine power, that feeling of like that empowerment? Who do you turn to? Are there influences? Is it people in your circle? How do you keep that energy flowing and like vibrating really high to really love that inner self?
I have to say, my girlfriends. We have a very close group of girlfriends. I'm sure. I'm
Oh
sure you
yeah,
know.
I do.
They're like my sisters, and
Yeah.
I think having a sisterhood is so important.
Mm.
We reinforce each other, we complement each other all the time. Because we need that. I think we don't realize how nice it is when your friends just tell. Like, we've been really like intentional about telling each other we love each other. We're hanging out as girlfriends. We're like, you know what? I love you. Like, you're amazing. Just sometimes you need to hear these things. And I think that, yeah, having a core group of girlfriends, or it could be family, whatever, um, is who I turn to in times of difficulty.
What are you looking forward to in the next evolution when you think about your body? Like
Mm.
I'm 38 right now, Christina, and I love talking to women that are maybe experiencing menopause. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of that fascination of wow, that is a whole nother layer to come. What do you
Yeah,
think when you think of your body story and maybe even talk to women that are older than you? Does it cross your mind? Do you think about it?
I do. I think, again, how I before. my only thought about my body was how it looked. But now it's about how it feels.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Now it's about how it feels. It's like, what feels good, is this part hurting? If that's hurting, I should maybe, be healthier, or, do this pose in yoga, or eat this. It's more of like, I love myself enough that I'm going to respect what I put inside of me, whether that's food and also exercise. Like before I would exercise to look good. Like I
Oh.
only cared about exercising for the physical outcome.
Is
But
that, can I
now
ask, is that how you felt when you were coming to my spin class? Was that the mindset then,
I think
Kristina?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Like for me, working out was about, I want a physical outcome. Yeah, I want to look like this. But now I'm changing my relationship with exercise in general. And it's not about, oh, to have this outcome of losing whatever. It's about feeling good and loving yourself, giving yourself time, and
Yes.
investing in your body, investing in yourself, because you love yourself and you respect yourself.
Oh, that resonates so much with me because even as a fitness instructor, Kristina, when I think about why I move, I might be having the shittiest day, but I know if I work out, I'm gonna feel so good. And then the beauty of it, it ends up manifesting when you put something on, you literally start to feel different in your body. So it
Mhm.
is much deeper than vanity. Working out is not
Yeah,
about vanity. And I think
it's
people that
not.
judge people that like to work out, they associate it with this vanity, but
It's not.
it's almost the last thing now. When you get to that level of why you move, the vanity is that's just a nice little side effect of it that you're looking
Yep.
good in your jeans,
Hmm.
your outfit. But
Hmm.
it's about the feeling.
It's
It's the
about the feeling
feeling.
and your mental health too. So yeah, just changing again, relearning. Because same with my mom. My growing up, I only worked out because she wanted me to look good. It wasn't like she put me in sports because she wanted me to learn teamwork and she wanted me to, learn what to have, this kind of experience with other young people. It was straightly about, you need to work out because you need to look good. Like, and just kind of unlearning that and changing my relationship with exercise and health in general. Um,
What's your favorite form of movement now? What do you really you feel? What do you feel deeply connected to your body when you do? Like that?
I would
What
say
movement?
yoga. I think
Oh,
yoga definitely has helped me a lot, especially during kind of these times of trials. It definitely is because it's not only slowing down, but it's also strength. And it's like your core strength, I think, is also kind of like a mirror for not only your physical core strength, but like your strength on your
mm,
inside and in your mind. And I think yoga brings both of these together.
it does. I love stretching and doing yoga, Christina, but my relationship with it at times when my body was feeling deeply pained, I would find myself not doing it as often when really I should have been leaning into it a bit more.
Right,
So
right.
it's really incredible when you find that movement that works for you, you take it to that layer. Like, how do
Mhm.
I feel about doing this right now? What is this? Sometimes fighting it, but knowing you got to push through it. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful that yoga speaks to you so beautifully like that.
Yeah, and of course spinning,
Yeah.
because I love like the rowdiness of it.
Oh, I miss making
But
you
yeah,
sweat, girl. Gosh, we
I
had
miss it
fun up in
too.
that
Oh my
class.
God, it was so fun. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. I sure hope so.
Oh my gosh. Can I ask one more thing just because I
Yeah,
feel like it's
of
important?
course.
I love that you took it straight to kind of your family because that's a very common thing. How do you offer forgiveness now? Now that you've come, you're doing this unlearning, you're doing your own work. You know what it is with your family. You've
Mhm.
set your boundaries. How does forgiveness now? Forgiveness for yourself and then forgiveness for loved ones that you felt you got a lot of this teaching from. What does that
Mm,
look like now for you?
I think forgiveness for me, it's tied to empathy and compassion. Like I just put myself in my mom's shoes and be like, you know what? In a way, it's not her fault because that's how she grew up. My grandmother was like that with her. That's all she knows. So it's not like she's trying to be mean or,
Yeah.
she's a bad person. It's just more like that was her socialization. That's how she was
Yes.
socialized. And she brought that on me. And it's not necessarily her fault. But after I set the boundary, I've seen actually a change in my mom. Like she compliments me all the time now, and I'm like, whoa,
Wow.
okay, this is weird.
Oh, that's so
This
nice.
is
But
bizarre.
again, you control that. That's again, people, when we control ourselves, you can't change anybody else, but you
Exactly.
controlled yourself in that. How lovely,
Yeah.
Christina.
Yeah. And it was interesting with to do that with my brother too. So my brother is younger, he's 21.
Okay.
And you would think like, you know, it's Gen Z, like super woke about body positivity and stuff.
Totally.
But I saw how the socialization kind of cycled through my brother too. Like, you know, because we grew up in the same household, and he saw my mom and my dad always judging people's physical appearance. He internalized some of these things too. You know, and he was doing it to me. He didn't even realize it. He was like, oh my God, thank you for letting me know. I really didn't know I was doing that to you and making you feel that way, because I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
So he also had his own little reflection moment. So.
Oh, I mean, but kudos to you, Kristina. That was brave of you. That really was.
Girl, I had to put my foot down. It was like, enough is enough. Like, I'm tired of
Mama.
this.
And you just look so beautiful, and just owning how you move in the world as a woman and your divinity. It really is. I'm really grateful I had this time with you to learn about your body story.
Thank you. I think, you know, us as women, we don't realize how powerful we are sometimes.
Ooh.
You know, we're creators of life, for God's sakes. Like,
God.
what?
I mean, can it really get any more powerful than that?
No, it cannot. Like, we're the source of all life.
But even to women, like, I don't even have a child, but being a woman, knowing that my body is built to do that is
enough.
It is fascinating to me. So you see why I'm obsessed with the Body Story Project.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I love that you're profiling so many different kinds of women.
Oh,
we all have our crazy body experiences, I'm sure.
we do. Is there anything, Kristina, that has been unsaid that you want to say before we wrap up?
I'm not sure. I think we covered like everything. But yeah, again, just kind of this going back and learning and relearning. And this applies to every facet in life. Like, we don't realize how much we're conditioned. And every word that we say, every thought, bad or good, has such an impact on us. And you know, it's hard to change your thoughts and how you think, but it's possible. And when you do that, it's so powerful.
And to be patient, to bring that empathy and compassion onto yourself, and be patient.
Yeah. That's the hardest one.
You're going to be frustrated, but then you're like, I'm in the work. This is why it's hard. This is why they say the work is hard.
Yep. Then you're a beautiful little butterfly.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's hard. I think it's so much easier for us, like when it comes to love or compassion or anything, to give it to others. It's so easy to give it to everybody. But when you give it to yourself, it's a whole different story. And it's so hard for some reason. It's great.
Kristina, thank you so much for today. I know there's someone that is going to listen or watch this that is going to relate and is going to take something you shared and maybe even try it, maybe even reflect, maybe even journal on it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Sorry, my neighbor. Sorry, I'm a little busy.
Yeah. Oh, good old 2021 living in Zoom. Well, honey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for sharing your body story with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to hearing all the stories from all the different women that you're profiling. So thank you.
Bye, honey bun.